So in our last video, we didn't quite finish doing all the fins. I actually added this loop cut here. I realized as I was doing that when I scaled this up to get a little bit more rounder contour for our fish, as you can see in the front orthographic view here, I had also had the tail one selected, and so really I didn't want that. I could do a couple things with the ones on the tail. Is I could actually take those loop cuts and I could scale them down and stuff so they're not quite in the same place, or I could take them and make it so that the ones outside of it are scaled down in a little bit more, or I could actually even erase them. And so I'm going to go ahead and do the latter one at the moment. So I'm going to take our mesh here, I'm going to deselect these vertices or these edges. So I'm going to go ahead and go to wireframe mode. I'm going to do B for box select. Middle mouse button is deselect. I'm going to go over all of those. So I have just the ones on the tail selected. I'm going to hit X and say dissolve edges. Now that those edges are gone, we're going to take a look at the fish, see what it looks like. Again, it's a bit rounded, but I still have, it's pretty broad at the front, and maybe that's what I want. I might want to work on getting those down towards the inside more. We can play with that after we do the fin. And so for doing the fin, I'm just going to go ahead and look at this from the top. And I want to see where I have my fin going that I drew on the side. So I actually have it going from this over to here. And I'm just going to select those two boxes so I can see kind of where that lines up. And I'm going to hold down Shift to select along that line. Hold down Shift to deselect the two that I had there. And we'll start off by just extruding up a little bit. And I'm going to do S and Z. And then you'll notice that this, because of the way that I extruded, it pulled it away a little bit. So I definitely want to get it going in towards the center. As I do this, what I'm going to do is over in my mirror modifier, I'm going to go and turn on clipping so that I don't go past. I can actually squeeze those together a little bit, and but it won't go past that middle line, which is what I want. And then I'm going to go ahead and look at it again from the side. There we go. And I'm going to scale this towards each other. And actually I should have just done Y in that direction. So I'm going to go back 3. So S, Y. Control Z, undo. Good key to know, just so that you are utilizing all the tools. I'm going to rotate it a little bit too so it goes up more in front there. And then on the inside, eventually I'll delete those faces, but I'm not going to do it right now because we're going to have more that will need to be deleted. So I'm going to go ahead and work on that, and then in just a moment we'll take a look and see what that looks like. Do just one more here where it starts to really kind of turn direction. So you know, I can do quite a bit of rotating and scaling and repositioning to get it where I want. And you know, just feel free to play with it a little bit as you go to see, try to get the curve that you want and then the look that you want. And again, since I have clipping on, I can move that towards there a little bit, thin it down quite a lot. So anyway, I'm going to continue to do that. I'm going to pause this, and then so I got my tail where I finished modeling it going that way. It's not entirely done yet because I want to remove the faces on the other side. To do that, I can go and take the mirror modifier, hit the eyeball icon so that it goes away. I'll select these faces, delete the faces, and then that way I can get it so it merges together. We'll see how it looks in just a moment. So I have all those faces selected on the inside of that fin. I'm going to hit X and say delete faces. And then I can go back over to my mirror modifier, click on the eyeball icon to see how it looks. And I think that looks okay. I'm going to go ahead and do tab to go into object mode. And you can see there's a little extra crease going here. I don't want that there, so I might do some additional modifying to make sure that that goes away. And so I can tab in, and I can see that this one actually goes higher in front than the edge right behind it. Not sure how that happened. Easy way to do that is just to pull out that inside one. So I'm going to go and select there, and I'm actually going to, that'll actually pull out that fin spot too as well. I'm going to select that one there, and kind of getting a little hard to select there, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn off the mirror modifier again, so just hit that eyeball icon and make sure I get all the parts that I want. Oops. Get one back there. Okay, where is that edge? There we go. So we're going to take those and pull them forward, maybe not that one. There we go. And I know it's going to modify that edge there, but in general I'm pulling this way. I'm going to go ahead and turn on my mirroring again so I can see what it does as I pull those forward. Get it roughly to where I want. And that looks like that will work for me. And now if I do tab out into object mode, still the front of it, not quite what I want, but I'll work on that a little bit later. I think I'll widen that out a little bit too. So I'll tab into there. I'll take these and pull them off. So in this step, you're just kind of doing a little bit of your own interpretation of how you want this to look. And, you know, feel free to play around with it, redesign it, modify it. You don't have to stick with what you come up with. For instance, on here, if I go to the side, I changed the length of how far my fins came out. They're still pretty long there. That works nicely. But I think I'll also do a fin coming down here. And so I'll give that a shot and we'll see what it looks like in just a moment. So in continuing to modify my fish, I just selected my lead vertices or lead edges in the middle for this part. I'm going to just move them out a little bit, like so, and then I'm going to see how that looks without deselecting them. I'm going to do Z, so I can see. I'm going to turn on my modifier so I can get an idea of how that looks. Bring it forward a little bit more. I can kind of decide what looks right there. And if I flip around to the other side, I can see a little bit more of how those contours look on this side, just to see what I think. I get into much more detail there later if I want to, but it doesn't have to be super complex, especially not for what we're doing or practicing. And this is probably on the side of more complex than what a lot of your fishies will look like, and that's okay. If you're first time trying this, maybe don't try to go overboard with a really complex looking fish, although it's fun to challenge yourself with things like that too. So I'm going to go and do Shift Z just to look and see what it looks like rendered so far, get a little bit of an idea even though I don't have all my light settings in and stuff. Shift Z again to go there, tab out, rotate around. So it's very thin, but that's probably okay. All right. So I think that this will work fine for me. If I wanted to make it look really realistic, I might try to give more definition with the lead here and make that thinner. Same here, but I'm just going to leave it like that for now. I also might go through the effort of subdividing more or applying all of these, which we're going to have to do for our next step anyway. If I go through and I apply the modifiers, if I apply the subdivision surfaces, before I do the mirroring, I could do any minor editing that I want to do using that those settings. So our next video we'll talk about kind of, again, tweaking this a little bit more, and then we'll do our finalizing of the model before we add an armature to it and go from there.